I'm standing between two New Zealand designed Chianti cuddy cab trailer boats. On my left we have the award-winning 530 and on my right we have its slightly bigger sibling, the 585. Both are aimed at first-time boat buyers and both are what I would call all-rounders. They also both share exactly the same hull design and they offer virtually the same features. So when it comes to buying, how do you know which one to choose? Before we hit the water, let's have a closer look at these two boats. As I've already said, they share the same hull design, they offer virtually the same features, and they're aimed at the same buyer group. So what does differentiate them? For starters, the 585 is 550mm, or 21 inches in the old language, longer. Both boats share the same beam of 2.5 metres. The 585 we're going to test today is powered by this 115 four-stroke Mercury outboard. The 530 has a 90 on the back. When it comes to towing, the 585 is about 200 kilo heavier than its smaller sibling, but it can still be comfortably towed by a medium SUV. But because of its extra length and its extra weight, Hitech Marine offer this one on a dual axle trailer, while the 530 sits comfortably on a single axle trailer. Maybe the most significant difference between these two boats is the price. The 585 is $49,990 in this package as we see it here. The 530 is $7,000 cheaper. So is the extra space and the extra power that the 585 worth that investment? Well, let's go out on the water and find out. I'm sitting on the Chianti 530, a family boat licensed to carry 5 people. It can be used for fishing, for cruising and even for water sports. The cabin has been designed so people up to 185 centimetres, which includes me, can sit in here without hitting my head. While the bunks aren't designed specifically as a bed, they are long enough so I can lay on them. And they do come with an infill, so it makes a really handy double bed if you want to stay overnight. And there's even room for a chemical toilet, which is also standard on this boat. But as you can see, there's not a lot of privacy when you use it. But what the cabin does really well is provide a good dry storage area and protection from the elements when the weather gets a bit rough. The helm area is one of the Chianti's real strengths. There's room here for 2 7-inch multifunction display screens, as well as your engine gauges, your switches and your marine radio. And Hitech Marine, who sell Chianti exclusively in Australia, include these gas pedestal seats as part of the standard kit. And they've got a bolster that makes it equally comfortable to drive standing up or sitting down. There are 2 more removable seats in the Portofino stern, a common feature in New Zealand designed boats. It's in the cockpit that you will find the most noticeable difference between this and the bigger 585. While they have all the same features, like a kill tank, good storage under the gunnels and an extra locker here in the back, there's a lot more room in the 585. All of those features on the 585 are bigger. And when it comes to fishing, this really is set up for 2 people, where I think the 585 could fish 3 to 4 very comfortably. Well, I've just jumped onto the bigger 585, and as you can see, it's very similar to the 530 we've just got off. In fact, the cabin behind me and the whole helm area here are identical. Even the spacing between the steering and the seat is exactly the same on the 585 as it is on the 530. And these gas pedestal seats are also standard on this model. But as you will notice, they've fitted what they call a king queen seat into this one, and it's a setup that's designed for people who are into water sports or who just want to use the boat more for picnics and for cruising rather than for fishing. If it was me and I was buying this boat for fishing, it's not an option box I would tick. As I said earlier, the big difference between this boat and the 530 we've just jumped off is here in the cockpit. And that extra 550mm we were talking about, well, it's all here. So from the back of this seat to the front of this seat is over ½ a metre longer on this boat than it is on the 530. And that makes a massive difference whether you're entertaining or fishing. There's also a couple of little niceties that they've added to this boat. For instance, this little step up here. Now it doesn't look much, but it makes it a lot easier to get in and out of the boat when you're at the jetty. And the batteries are a little easier to get to on this boat. There's a latch, but it's not just a latch door, it turns into a table. And that's a fantastic idea. If you're having a break and you want a bit of lunch, put your lunch here, put your drink here, sit back and enjoy a little break from the fishing. And the other big difference, this big 115 horsepower engine. So let's just see how it performs. As you can see, the ocean is pretty flat, but we did try and test the capabilities of the 530 by running across the wake of a 40-foot cruiser. Repeating the same procedure in the 585 produced a very different result with a much softer, calmer ride. As you can see here, we've got perfect boating conditions in WA today, so it hasn't been a great day for testing some areas of the boats, but I have noticed some noticeable differences. Probably for me the most significant was the hole shot. The 585 with 115 horsepower on the back is significantly quicker at taking off and getting onto the plane. Also, while it doesn't look like it, there is a little bit of a swell running today, so you can get into a choppy situation. And the smaller boat definitely feels a lot sharper when it lands off the chop. The extra length and the additional bit of weight on the 585 certainly makes it sit in the water a lot better and it feels more comfortable. And I think that if the conditions got a bit rougher, that would become even more noticeable. I have thrown both boats around a bit, trying to get a feel for how they perform turning hard. And I've got to say, even though it is really calm, they both are very composed and sit nice and flat, even when turning at really fast speeds. So overall, I think they are both very good boats and both very suited for their purpose and for first boat buyers. So in this comparison between the Chianti 530 and the Chianti 585, what do you get for your money? Well, it's a pretty simple answer really. You get a bigger motor and you get a much bigger cockpit. So which one would I buy? If I had a smaller family, one child, used the boat mainly inshore, I think I would go for the 530, save my money. But if I had two children and I wanted to go offshore more often, I would spend the extra money on the 585. The difference in the size of the cockpit is significant, and the extra length and the extra weight of this boat makes it ride much better in offshore conditions. So I think that the investment of the extra $7,000 in this case would be well worth it.